Welcome to Tuesday's Tips, where we're going to talk about the coaching partnership and the value of presence. I'm Meg Rentschler, executive and mentor coach, and the host of the Star Coach Show, where each and every Wednesday we bring you a new episode focused on strategies, tools, and resources. That's the acronym for STAR to help you be a great coach partner, a great leader, listen more deeply with curiosity. And a big part of that is coaching presence. So before we dive into techniques and different tips and tricks that you can use as a coach, I just want to lean into something even more fundamental. It's the concept of presence. And it's not so much what we say or even in sometimes how we say it. It's how you show up, your being, your willingness to be fully present and curious with this other human being that you are with. And it is in that concept of presence, in the many years that I've been therapist and coach, it is my belief and my experience that it isn't just a nice thing to be present. It's the invisible force that makes what we do as coaches, what I did as a therapist, really possible. And when I think of coaching presence, I think of a gift or a present because in this day and age, with all the different things that we have going on, all the distractions, well, I can't even pick up my phone because it's stuck. But the different things that demand our attention or that entice our attention. I don't know if they necessarily demand it, that pull away from our being fully present with another human being. When we choose to make that other human being the priority. And when we do that in our relationships, it's really what makes a relationship full. So I'm going to talk through the lens of a coach today, but I would also encourage you to think about whether you're a parent, whether you are a spouse, a leader, a somebody, an employee who's engaging with another human being somewhere doing something, as human beings, let's talk about how we can stay on course with presence and really give the gift of our attention and our focus to another human being. So I'm going to talk about three things when it comes to the gift of coaching presence. And then I'm going to talk about three things that interfere with our presence and then how we can get back on track. So let's talk about the gift of coaching presence and really how when we are fully present and engaged, it actually creates, and this is once again, yes, I'm talking about through the lens of a coach, but I want you to think about, if you're listening to me right now, think about any communication that you have, and that when you are fully present and engaged with another human being, how that creates a container for them to step into their full being, to invite other people into a container of transformation where our clients feel completely heard and understood without judgment. When you are fully present with another human being, you create psychological safety for that person to be able to explore what's the truth for them. What are their fears? What are the things that they aspire to? So, what full presence says to another human being is, you matter. You matter more than this phone that might be lighting up or this TV that might be drawing my attention or the many, many different demands on our attention. You matter. And this is where I'm putting my attention versus all these other places that are competing for my attention. So let's create a container for transformation. That's the first gift of presence. The second gift that I want to talk about today is that when you are truly present and engaged and curious, it allows you to also access your inner wisdom as a coach. If I'm fully engaged and curious with what the person across from me is offering, then I can allow things to so naturally bubble up within me. Then I have to make a choice about when I tap into that and when I access that. And that's a whole nother Tuesday tips. And it allows me, based upon what's coming up within me, to determine how am I going to ask questions based upon that. If I am fully engaged and present with this person and my intuition bubbles up, it's likely bubbling up in response to what it is that I am being presented with the person in front of me. So it allows me to ask better questions. It allows me to stay in that place of engagement, and allows me to ask questions that also bring that other person's inner wisdom forward. And then finally, another gift that, and there's many, many, but I just wanted to keep this short and sweet for today's Tuesday tips. So the next one that I want to talk about is how you model, how you can model for others when you're fully present yourself. When your presence teaches by examples. And when your clients experience what it's like to have somebody completely present with them, it then gives them the gift of example to bring that forward to others. Because I believe that coaching allows a ripple effect. When we're showing up as a coach the way that we believe is a gift to our clients can then carry that gift forward and and show up for others that deeply because they saw it in an example brought forward by their coach. So those are the gifts that I wanted to kind of focus on today from presence. And now let's talk about what are some of the things that can interfere with that presence, can interfere with us showing up the way that we want to, with full presence for our client. And the very first thing, I think any of you who are listening is and have been in that coaching relationship or just in a conversation, this is probably going to resonate with you. And that's our internal dialogue and our own agenda that can bubble up within us and then get in the way of being fully curious and present with our client. We can get caught up in what are we going to say next, or judging what the client is choosing to do for themselves, or pushing towards outcomes that we think that the client should try to reach, rather than wondering what is top of mind for them, what's coming up for them, being able to fully explore that. Our own judgment, our own internal dialogue can get in the way of full coaching presence. So this mental noise, this chatter that can go on inside of our heads, can break the energetic connection with the person in front of you. And I just encourage you to be aware of that internal chatter. We're going to talk about what can we do instead in just a minute, but let's talk about the reality that our inner chatter, our inner judgment, our own model of the world can get in the way of being curious about the client's model of the world, their choices, what they're doing. So just be aware of that. One of the episodes that I have that I would recommend maybe you visit around this whole concept of curiosity is episode 207 with Tijan Ginkgo. She's a master certified coach, and we talk a little bit about deep listening and presence. So that's an episode I would recommend. Another thing that can get in the way of our full coaching presence is our own emotional reactivity. When a client's story triggers something within us, our unresolved issues, something that we want desperately for them, um, something that we have a really strong opinion about, all of those things can shift our attention away from the experience that the client is having to our own internal frustration or our own emotional response. And that can create a barrier if we're not aware of it, if we're not responsible about what's coming up within us. Now, ironically, I just did an episode about this very thing about mastering our own emotional compass as a coach. So if you haven't heard that episode, I direct you to episode 443. And by the way, anytime I reference an episode in my Tuesday tips for something that's happened in the Star Coach Show, you can access that at starcoachshow.com slash whatever the episode number is. So slash 443 or slash 207. So you can get right to those episodes. Or if you're subscribed to the Star Coach Show on any of the podcast platforms, you can scroll through the episodes and find that. But episode 443 was about mastering your emotional compass. And that is something that our own emotional reactivity can certainly interfere with coaching presence. And then finally, being so focused on future and past that we forget to stay present in the moment. So if we get too worried or caught up in time constraints, we can actually um, miss what's right in front of us. As a mentor coach, I work with coaches in their coach practice and listen to their sessions, and sometimes I'm in live sessions with them. And what I hear often, especially if we're doing a mentor group where we are practicing in the moment, I'll hear them say, I heard that come up, but I didn't want to touch on it because I was afraid I didn't have time to touch on it. And I get that. I also would say be present with the client at the moment. If you're doing a laser focused session, acknowledge what you're hearing the client bring forward, even if you're then turning back to them and saying, and what do you want to do with that? Since we have limited time today, how are you taking that awareness forward? Or what do you want to do with that particular issue that you're bringing forward since we're running out of time today? Trust that the client is whole, resourceful, and creative. When we worry about getting caught up in story or getting caught into things that have happened in the unproductive past of the client, that's also a way that interferes with being present and focused in the moment. So we might ask the client, what about that past situation can you learn from to be able to stay in the present, to be able to deal with what's going on in the present versus getting pulled back into past that is not serving the present, that's not serving you to move forward or to be able to learn from what's right in front of you. So the three things that we focused on today that might interfere with presence is the internal dialogue that might happen for you as the coach, the emotional reactivity that might happen for you as the coach, and then too much future or past focus versus what's happening in the present, what's going on in the here and now that the client wants to focus on. Now, how can we return to presence when it falters? Because it does. I mean, the reality is, we talked about the internal dialogue. Well, one of the things that I would encourage you to think about, if you're getting caught up in internal dialogue, getting caught up in what am I going to ask next? Am I bringing value? All the internal chatter that can pull us away. Try a 3-breath reset. So take 3 conscious breaths. Feel your feet on the ground. Ground your body into the chair or into, like I'm standing right now. So I ground into the ground. And with each exhale, release whatever has pulled you away. If you're thank whatever's bubbled up has bubbled up for a reason. So thank it and release it. And come back to curiosity with your client. With each exhale, get back to curiosity and ground into the wonder what is important to your client, what's coming up for your client. Now, the interesting thing about grounding back to 3 breaths is that your client doesn't even necessarily need to be aware that you're doing that. You're grounding through those breaths and you're recentering on your client. So they're going to experience the presence again, but you don't necessarily need to share that you're doing that with the client. You're just shifting back to presence through a breath practice. Another way to return to presence when it falters is to notice that you've lost presence. Don't judge yourself for it. Just get curious about what just happened. So ask yourself internally, what just pulled me away? Sometimes when we name the distraction, I notice that, so maybe the distraction is, I notice that I'm getting caught into being a fixer. I notice that I've been caught into solutioning instead of just listening. It's enough to dissolve it. If we can name it, identify it, name it, and then move past it, you are likely to get re-grounded into presence. And you have the choice whether you choose to share that with your client or not. If it's appropriate, you might say something like, I just noticed that I got caught up in um, trying to come up with a solution instead of staying focused on what's important to you right now. So let's focus in on what's important to you. What's coming up for you in this situation? What can we co-create together? And then finally, I would encourage you, if you've noticed that your presence has faltered, another tip I would encourage you to practice is returning to sensation and energy. So shift your thoughts and your attention back to what's physically grounding yourself, physically noticing your energy, your client's energy. What's the energy in the moment? What do you notice in your body? What's the feeling in the room or the sensation is occurring between you and your client? What are you sensing in your client's energy? All these sensing of energy and body and the interaction of the moment focuses you back into the present. And in the present is where your presence is. So present moment awareness helps you stay grounded with your client and what your client is bringing forward. And that's where your best coaching is going to emerge. So as we kind of wind down our Tuesday tips for this week, I just want you to think about the beautiful thing about presence is that it is always available to you right here, right now. You don't need years of training to ground back into the presence of the moment. You need to remember that it's there and it's available to you. And when we drift, because we do, any of us who try meditation, our thoughts are going to drift and we bring them back again. So bring it back to the client, bring it back to your breath and curiosity. To me, coaching presence and curiosity are two sides of the same coin. In this world, in all that's going on right now, it is easy to be distracted. It's easy to feel scattered, to be rushed, and your clients might be experiencing those very same things. In the busy world that we're in, that makes our presence that much more of a gift to our clients. It can actually be kind of revolutionary to all that's going on. So when we think about the fast-paced world, AI offering different things, technology and digital and all these different things, what's uniquely and powerfully human is connection and and the gift we can give of our attention and our focus and true human connection. That's what your clients are hungry for. That's a real gift that you can offer. And so I encourage you to practice with some of the things that we've talked about today. Think about how present are you able to be? Are you giving your clients the gift of your focus and your presence? If that is something that you're aware that you could work on, it's very much within your grasp. Practice some of the things that we've talked about. Leave a comment and let me know, how did this land on you? What are your thoughts about the concept of presence and the gift that that gives, and how to be fully present in a session? Let me know your thoughts. And just FYI, we have a new show coming out tomorrow, which is a solo episode around the great note debate. Do we take a pen or presence? Do notes pull us away or do they pull us into a session? I get asked probably more frequently than any other question, like, should I take notes in a session? Well, there's no black or white answer to that. And we explore that debate in tomorrow's Star Coach episode. So be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to the Star Coach Show. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel at Star Coach Show, please do so. We've got the Tuesday tips go there every Tuesday. We have shorts for you. Our Star Coach episodes go there. So that's a great way to connect with the Star Coach Show and continue to build your coaching muscles. Until next week, this is Meg Rentschler wishing you the very best for your success. Thanks for being here today. Take care.